Imagine you are a superhero, perched on a gargoyle high above the city. Your mission is to find and stop the single biggest criminal organization in town using the holographic database on your wrist. But the database is giving you mixed signals. When you look for the crew with the most members, you get one gang. But when you look for the group moving the most money, you get a totally different syndicate. It's hard to tell who the real heavyweight is. Real-world investors and governments run into this exact same problem. They need to know how big a business is before they invest money or set tax rates. But they often find that big depends entirely on which ruler you use to measure them. So what actually makes a company large? Is it the number of people on the payroll? Is it the total amount of money they handle? Or is it the sheer value of the gear they own? Because every organization is built differently, there isn't one perfect metric. To get the full story, you have to look at several different measurements and see how they stack up against each other. The easiest way to start is by simply counting heads, looking at the number of employees. Some organizations are muscle-heavy. They rely on manpower to get things done, like a dockside gang that needs 100 henchmen to move crates by hand. In business terms, we call this labor-intensive. But just because you have a lot of people doesn't mean you're the biggest player. 100 low-level workers might not actually be doing much more than a few highly skilled ones. That's why we also look at capital employed. This is the total worth of the big-ticket items, like the machinery, secret bases, and the startup cash that have been put into the business for the long haul. This is where we find the machine-heavy organizations. Imagine a lone genius villain who has no employees at all, but owns a multi-million-dollar fully automated robot factory. If you only counted workers, this villain would look tiny. But once you look at the value of their high-tech equipment, you realize they're actually a massive operation with a lot of power. If you compare a muscle-heavy gang to a machine-heavy one, using only one of these stats, you'll get a distorted view. The biggest title flips back and forth, depending on whether you're counting people or counting the value of their gear. We can also measure size by the results they produce. This is usually the value of output, everything they make, or the value of sales, the total worth of everything they actually sell to customers. Think about a crew that steals and sells 10,000 cheap burner phones. Compare them to a thief who steals one single diamond worth $50 million. Total sales numbers are great for comparing two diamond thieves. But if you try to compare the phone crew to the diamond thief, the numbers can be misleading because the businesses are just too different to compare fairly. Now, it's tempting to think that the group making the most money must be the biggest, but there is a huge difference between the money a business collects and what they actually get to keep. This is the distinction. Profit is a measure of how well a business is performing. It isn't a measure of how large they are. She didn't just count henchmen or cash. She looked at how all those numbers work together. This diagram shows the standard measurement methods: number of employees, total sales, equipment worth, market share, and market capitalization, essentially the entire company's stock market sticker price. Every single one of these methods has a blind spot if used on its own. A high worker count doesn't mean high value, and high sales don't guarantee a massive operation. To get an accurate reading on any organization, you have to cross-reference at least two different methods to see the reality behind the numbers. Whether you are a government providing support to local shops, an investor looking for the next big thing, or a hero keeping the city safe, identifying the true scale of an organization requires looking at it from more than one angle.